Bowden Springs. It's a clammy 10 degrees. There's no wind yet, and it's feeling fishy. This, especially somewhere I've not been since like 2012, something like that. So this is nostalgic, and let's jump right into fishing. Actually, let's not jump right into fishing. Let's really quickly go over. I had quite a few comments last time asking to go over the setup. So normally when I'm at small still waters like this, it's just sight-free airflow fluorocarbon. This is the £6 stuff because you don't really need that heavy on small waters. Even the big fish you can land on £6 pretty easy. And then my setup is either the bung cast, which is super easy. It is literally just straight nylon with one of these at whatever depth you want, and you would put, this has like a wee slot on it. Let me get one out. This has a wee slot on it that you put your fly inside. Put your line inside that. You pull that rubber stop out. Now I like to wrap the nylon around the back as well and put it back through, and then put the rubber stop in, and that means that it stays in position more easily, because if you just put it in like that it can slide quite easily. But just now on this cast I'm going to go for a slow glass, slow intermediate, and then 2 flies. I don't feel like you need 3 flies at a small water. You can still do it of course, but I don't feel like you need it. It's one of those things, personal preference, so feel free to do whatever you want. But 2 fly cast, and I'm going to go with, today I just tied up some of these damsels, these hothead damsels, which are looking amazing. So I'm going to go with one of them and one, maybe a red apps bloodworm in the middle. Let's see how we get on. So as you can see, this day started off incredibly windy. From the time that it took me to walk from the back of the car to this peg, it was incredibly windy. So we're looking at like 30 miles an hour with 45 mile an hour gusts. Really difficult to fish it. And you might be asking, why fish at the head of the wind then? So I always like to start at the head of the wind, especially on stocked still waters like this, because the fish, they will get pushed in with the wind. So like on the head of the wind side, even though it's difficult to fish in it, it is normally quite productive for stocked fish, especially when pulling. So here we've got the hothead damsel on and a red apps bloodworm, just as we saw, trying to cast along with the wind as much as possible. So not terribly huge casts, but just getting it out there enough that I can start stripping it back in and see what we can work with. So this slow glass is getting that intermediate line's getting us beneath the waves. We're able to get a decent amount of line out because it's also a heavier line, whereas a floater would get pushed around in the wind super badly. But here we can kind of throw this out a decent distance and get our flies down a little bit as well, because the wind can sometimes put the fish off being right at the surface too. Here I'm counting it down as well a little bit because it is a slow glass, so it'll sink quite slowly. But overall, this is normally a place that I like to start fishing.
just fish it static because the fish are lethargic, but it might just be that wee bit of warmth in the air that's got them going. Not too. I probably count as soon as the fly hits the water. I count for like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then pull pretty fast.
I'm just going to shut that wind right up because, oh my goodness, these gusts were pretty insane. Yeah, I think it was getting up to this point pretty much just the staple 40 mile an hour wind, never mind gusts up to 40 miles an hour. But you could hear there, I was having a chat with the other guy that was fishing today. The camera got knocked over quite a few times at that last spot that you just saw, but I did have another couple there, so 3 quite quickly, all on that red apps bloodworm, none on the damsel. So at this point, I'd now changed to 1 orange and 1 red apps bloodworm. So I've actually got like an amber one on and a red apps bloodworm. Both really good colours, to be honest. Like the colour at still waters, I think, can sometimes be the key. Like sometimes for some reason, the fish at any one venue be picking out a colour more than they will a fly. So one colour across a bunch of different patterns can do really well for whatever reason. But here, the camera does fall over again, but I've got the GoPro on and it's actually working at this point. So the next fish that we get in is actually on the GoPro footage, which is pretty cool.
It's a decent fish. It's a chunky fish. Oh, that's cracking. My knee.
So that did end up being quite a good fish. It was maybe 3 or 4 pounds, but it was a cracking fighting fish. On the reel-in, never forget to pay attention on your reel-in. That's what I'm talking about. Now, some people might call it jammy. Specifically, Brady Heggie would call it jammy, but I wouldn't. I'd call it skill. You're better lucky than good anyway. That's what I always say. So after that, the wind was getting a bit much on the other side, so I moved over to here. The other side, tried all the way down that other bank, which actually came to nothing. There was nothing really much happening. With the apps bloodworms, had a black snake on, tried the bung a little bit, but really just nothing really showing. It was quite a hard day overall. But that one bank that had been super productive early on had kind of gone off, and the wind was just being so brutal. It was like I could nearly enough cast to the other side from here with this wind, just throwing it up in the air and letting it carry it. So I put on the 2 apps again on the slow glass, fishing it super slow, trying just to get it all the way over there. and did end up being, again, a little bit lucky. Better lucky than good. You'll see in a second why. But fishing it super slow, just trying to let it go down, because at this side could have a lot more line out, so I'm trying to fish it at a bit of depth, which ended up being super productive. As you can see here, that I just move slightly and end up hooking up. Some call it lucky, some call it skill. Put in the comments which one you think it is. This was actually a cracking fish. It took the amber Apps bloodworm, nice blue trout, absolutely stunning condition, and yeah, this was overall a decent day in hard conditions. Super windy, but ended up being quite good fun. It's always a good trip. Not one of the days you catch the most, but hey, subscribe, like the video, see you in the next one.